Gotta get books.
Yeah. All right.
He's coming.
Open up. All right. It's working. It's not a problem.
Erev Tov, everyone. This week begins the reading of the Chumash of Vayikra, the Sefer Torah's Kohanim. It's the book of Korbanot and the Avodah in the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash. The idea of Korbanot is foreign to us. We have not practiced Korbanot for many centuries, for millennia. And in the general world that we live in, it's not a form of worship anymore. Even though in the ancient world and even in parts of the medieval world it existed. So it therefore is not easy for us to relate to the Chumash, to understand what was the purpose of the Korban and why it's important. And all of that, it remains, even today, part of the difficulty of dealing with this Chumash. Traditionally, the Chumash Vayikra was the Chumash that children first studied, because to begin with Chumash Breishis, with Maaseh Breishis, so that's even more complex. It's more difficult to understand. And the Medrash already says that Yavo Tahorim V'Yasku B'Tahara. Let the children who are pure yet, let them begin with the study of Kodshim and Taharos, and they should be the ones that understand it. So apparently on a simple level, the children will understand this Chumash more easily than sophisticated adults who already have been hardened by the world that they live in. Nevertheless, there are ideas here that all the Meforshim bring for us. The ideas have permanence to us. They come to speak to us, even if the action and the behavior is no longer something that we see done. So the Torah describes different types of korbanot. So there's a korban olah, which is the first one that the Torah describes. And the olah is a korban that was brought daily. And it was brought on the holidays. And on Shabbat, Olat Shabbat, B'Shabbato, Al Olat HaTamid, there's a permanence to it. The other korbanot depend on circumstances. Korban chatos, if you didn't sin, so you don't bring a korban chatos, you don't bring a korban osham. If you're not a nazir, you don't bring a korban nazir. If you don't feel that there is any reason to extend special gratitude for events that happen, so you don't bring a korban toda. Those are not obligatory korbanot. The obligatory korbanot that an individual has to bring has to do with the chagim. That's the korban Pesach, korban Chagiga. But again, those are like national korbanot, even though the individual is obligated. Korban Allah, however, was a permanent korban that had to be brought every day. And there are a few distinguishing characteristics about a korban Allah, which can carry moral value for us as well. The first thing about a korban Allah is that no one benefits from it. All the other korbanot, there is both physical and emotional benefit. If a person brings a korban chatat, so he has the benefit that he feels that he is forgiven from his sin. The kohanim have the benefit that part of the korban belongs to them. So everybody's happy. Korban olah, nobody has anything. If a person donates a korban olah to the Beit HaMikdash, so he has no discernible benefit for having done so. The Kohanim get nothing from it. Ola kalil ala mizbeach, it is burned completely on the altar. So what's the significance of the korban olah, and why is it the permanent korban? We would say that the korban that people have benefit from, korban toda, the kohanim have a benefit from it. After all, this is the livelihood of the kohanim, so to speak. And here there's nothing. It's a big fire. You kill an animal and you burn it, and no one has anything from it. So Meforshim point out that the Ramban discusses it, Abarbanel, all of the Meforshim discuss this question. So there's a concept in Judaism. We have shortened it to l'shem shamayim. We do something for the sake of heaven. So l'shem shamayim means I have no benefit from it, because if I have a benefit to it, it already is not l'shem shamayim. So Salanter says you have to always check that the l'shem shamayim should be l'shem shamayim. People fool themselves. And there is an anonymity in the korban olah. The whole tzibur brings the korban olah. Even if a person brings a korban olah himself, he has no credit for it. So there's this idea in Judaism of selflessness, of somehow realizing that service to God can only occur relative to the diminution of ego within the person. That's why Chazal say, the Rebbeinu Shalom said regarding about Gaiva, about an arrogant person, there's no room for me there, God says. The person that has such arrogance, he has such an ego, so there's no room for me, God says. So the korban olah is the representative of anova, Another is the diminution of ego. We translate it as modesty or humility. But that's, again, that misses what the Hebrew means. It means anova is like the word oni. There's less of me. I'm a poor man. And therefore, the fact that no one has any benefit from it certainly lowers one's ego. A person that brings, for instance, the korban toda, so there's a lot of bread that goes with it and everything. The kohanim are happy, everybody's happy. So he feels good, like he made a kiddush in the Beis HaMikdash. He brings a korban olah, the kohen's not happy with him. I'm not going to get anything out of this. What is he doing here? So it's only a tircha. The whole purpose, therefore, was to lessen one's ego. And there are many methods to lessen one's ego. One of the great methods is to make a mistake. People are not easily ready to admit that they made mistakes. So they defend themselves in all ways possible. We find that by Shaul HaMelech, that we're going to read the Haftorah, the Shabbos, that the Navi comes and tells him that he did wrong, and he's got all sorts of excuses. Yoresi Yasom. I did what the people wanted to do. I kept the sheep alive because I want to bring a korban. I'm going to give them. I'm going to give my earnings to tzedakah. So therefore, what I do to earn it is legitimate. All sorts of excuses. And the Navi is not satisfied until he says, Chatos, I made a mistake. Chazal say the difference between David and Shaul is that David admits his mistakes immediately. The Navi says, Ato Ish, you're the one that did it. Oh, Yomer David, oh God, sarli mode. I'm sorry. When a king makes a mistake, when a leader makes a mistake, so almost never is it admitted. We're going to talk about it later. Where it says, Asher Nosi Yecheta is Ashrei Ador, that the Nosi admits that he made a mistake. So the Korban Olah comes to create that atmosphere within us. That you're not such a knacker. Nobody benefits from you. Nobody's happy with you. You have to do things that are selfless. And many times doing things that are selfless are things that are done against our own self-interest. And that becomes even more difficult. Therefore, the Gemara says that it was rare that a Korban Olah was brought that was really what it was supposed to be. Because people didn't rise to the occasion. People wanted that they should be, so to speak, honored because of the Korban Olah. And that was just the opposite of what the Korban Olah was supposed to do. So that concept remains. It's emphasized in all the Hasidic Sforim. And it's emphasized in all the Sifrei Musar, in Sifrei Machshava. And that's why Chazal said, Ma'od, Ma'od, heavy shval ruach. When it comes to this, we say Ma'od twice. Because only then do we fulfill the idea that lies behind the Korban Olah. And in our time, we say, the Shalim Sfosim, may our lips be the Korban, so may our behavior be the Korban. And that depends on our levels of Anova and of dealing with God and with man. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashi Omer Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'zak Knesset Yisrael L'ficha chirva lahem Torah mitzvot shenemar Adonai chafetz l'man tzidko yagil Torah v'yadir